What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and because you guys got the video of the Dark World profile way above 50 likes in the first 24 hours, I thought I would bring you a test hand combo video to show you what this deck can do. Now the idea of these test hand videos is show you what it can do going first and second, as well as provide you with over the top commentary in order to kind of explain to you and talk you through the different types of play styles, the risk and rewards, why we're doing certain plays that we are, and then just kind of what you need to be aware of as you make these types of plays. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. After a very decent shuffle and a good old cut, our starting hand of 5 will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, double snow and archives, a gates and of course a lore. We actually have a fair amount of stuff we can do here, to be honest. Yes, it is one of them ones where you need to draw the out and just want it more than your opponent and believe in the heart of the cards. But technically, we do have a way of being able to draw and discard a couple of times at least. So with this hand, you're going to have to start off with a lore. We're going to draw 2 cards. Fenrir is not a bad one. And Yugioh, that is a very interesting one. So as this currently stands, just having a look at this now. I mean, you don't really want to use up your normal summon of snow, but we might actually have to. If you banish the Yugioh, it means your colourless is gone, which isn't the end of the world because we are going first. So I suppose we will banish the Yugioh. We'll special summon down the Fenrir. I'm going to use Fenrir's effect just to gain a second copy of itself. If you are massively fearful of droll, like you probably would have already been drolled off the back of your lore, which is why it's now a little bit safer to search out that second Fenrir. And then kind of what you want to be doing here is you're going to have to, annoyingly, activate the archives, and then you're going to want the normal summon the snow because you need to have a Dark World on the board in order to activate the discard effect of the archives. So what you'll do here is you'll discard the snow off of the archives to boost your original snow on the board by 400. In doing so, you'll have a couple of chains of events in order to trigger. So you'll be able to go chain link 1 snow, and then you'll be able to go chain link 2 archives. Because a Dark World was discarded via a Dark World card effect, you get to discard 1 and draw 2. So obviously you've now got the rare, like the extra Fenrir, so that can be discarded. You're going to draw 2. Then we're going to be able to use the effect of Snow. Now Snow is going to get you direct access to the cards you're going to want the most, and in my opinion right now a hand without Genta is a hand without draws. So we're going to go directly for the Genta. Luckily we did get the Greffer as well, so we've got the discard off of the gates that can go and do everything it needs to. So we'll start off by activating the Genta, discarding that. That's going to gain us access to the second gates, and this is why I'm not the biggest fan of playing 3 gates. Obviously in this scenario I'd be able to get a 3rd gate, but I don't ever really want to open up a gate. It's just not, it's not ideal. What we'll do is we'll then activate again. I'm just going to put it centered so you can kind of see where it kind of is. We'll use that effect. We're going to be banishing the Genta and we'll be discarding the Greffer. You'll draw 1 card off of the gates. Now keeping in mind, Greffer is mandatory, so it will have to be chain link 1, and Genta will be chain link 2, summoning itself back to the board. And then of course you have the ability to return the Genta to the hand for the Greffer. Now in the scenario of doing something like that, the only massive benefit you're going to get is that you're going to get the ability, like ideally you'd want to then discard it and search out a second gate, but because we already have the gate, what you might be more beneficial in, because we want to be drawing more cards as we don't really have a huge amount of hand resource or presence at this exact moment in time, personally I'm going to be going into the Daguerres. We're going to use the Daguerres' effect to detach 2, to draw 2 and ditch 1. Now obviously the best thing about a particular hand like this, obviously Shavara is a great ad, is that you can actually trigger off your dangers. Now obviously discarding Chupacabra is not going to get you anything, but discarding a Mothman will. Obviously both players will be able to draw a card and then discard a card, but the idea is you want to be getting into something that's going to help you get a bit more resource, which is exactly what we've done with Rainbow. So we'll discard the Rainbow, we'll trigger the Rainbow effect. This is then going to allow us to add a level 5 or lower. We've already got a Greffer in rotation, so the next one you're going to want to get into rotation will be your Silver. Now Silver will give you that ability to get a lot of board resource and hand resource, and what I mean by that is exactly as I'm about to show you. If we activate the second gates, and the reason we're doing this rather than activating the Chupacabra is everything is still within our control. If you activate the Chupacabra, you could hit cards you don't want to hit, and until we get to a point where I absolutely have to use a danger because a lot of stuff's been stopped or resource has been burnt or anything like that, I'm personally not going to use it. So off of this, what you're going to want to banish is, you've got the ability to banish a Snow. So I would do that first. You could, of course, the only reason I'm banishing the snow is because I've got a second one in there. If I didn't have a second one in there, I probably wouldn't banish it. But it also means you can keep the Genta for your next turn. We'll discard the silver, we'll draw one card. Pretty good. Silver's effect will now resolve to bring it back to the board. Now this is where we're going to get back our loads of hand resource, because we're going to bring the silver back to the hand for rainbow, and we're going to bring rainbow back to the hand for the Grepher. So now what we've done is we've really kind of regained our resources. We've now gone back up to a hand of 6, which is great. It now gives us the ability, if we wanted to set Trill Tactics and set card destruction. But before we do any of that, I'm going to want to get the Shavara into rotation, because the Shavara in rotation is now going to give me the ability to get into the Unchained combo. Now, in an ideal scenario, what you'd probably be going for off of the back of the Unchained is you'd probably be linking these two into a Yama, and then using Yama to search out the Shavara. So at this exact moment in time, Shavara is technically like a neg1, because we've already hard opened it. So what we'll do here is you have a couple of options. You can link straight into Yama, and the reason you'd do that is to get Yama into the graveyard. Like, you'd get Yama into graveyard, you might need to sacrifice any of your set cards. Like, you can set any of these, destroy it and sacrifice it, because that's how you can still get Shavara down without needing to use your monster resource. The other thing you need to do is you need to get Rage into rotation, and the way you get Rage into rotation is you're going to have to summon down the Shavara. The only issue with that is, again, it's going to need you to use an additional body, and you won't have that graveyard recursion. So what we'll do is we'll link these two together. We're going to go into the Yama. Ideal world, you'd be using Yama to search out the Unchained Soul, but unfortunately we don't have that. When I'm looking at the rest of my hand, honestly, I don't really want to activate card destruction, but I also don't really want to, I'm not worried about talent, so I'd set either one of these. So entirely up to you. I think card destruction might be a little bit more clutch later on, so we're going to set that, set the Trill Tactics. We'll use Shavara to destroy the tactics and go from there. Now, at this exact moment in time, and this is what a lot of people get confused about, is Shavara only Fiend Locks you when you summon it via its own effect, which is that exact same route we've just done. If I later on, in a combo, bring it back with something like a Promethean Princess, I'm only fire locked through Princess's effect, not through Shavara's effect. So you still have a lot more to go with. So at this exact moment in time, we are Fiend Locked. If you wanted to, you could very easily activate card destruction. The only loss that you would get off card destruction is you wouldn't be able to trigger Chupacabra, because it would be attempting to bring back an insect, and we are Fiend Locked. So to get out of the Fiend Lock, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to link these two together, and this is just to maintain your Fenrir. This will then, it can very easily go into Princess, but there's no point in going into Princess if you don't have Rage in rotation, because you're going to need that to kind of surprise your opponent during their turn. You'll trigger off the Shavara effect. This is going to this will deck fin you one more by getting you the Abominable Chamber, and we're going to set that there. So then what we'll do is we'll shuffle up. Now you're not locked into anything. You're actually in a very good position. So now we can activate card destruction. We will be ditching 3 cards and drawing 3 new ones, as we are deck finning even more. Sad that we've already used our normal summon, but that is part and part of it. You'll now be able to trigger. Silver will be coming back to the board. Rainbow will be searching, and Chupacabra, as we are not locked into anything, will be bringing back Mothman, which is exactly what we need to get into Princess anyway. So we're going to resolve the Rainbow. Rainbow will get us our Grepher, as that's the only target we have left. We can now regain more resource, so Silver back to the hand for Rainbow. Rainbow back to the hand for Grepher. So now you can just see that our hand advantage is growing. We've obviously got the ability of Accession if we want to add a protection to this end board, or to this board in general. So what you're then going to want to go up to next is entirely up to you, whether you want to start working your way into an Appaloosa because you feel you need that protection, or if you want to just go straight into Princess, into Amber Whale. Now it's obviously a lot easier to go into Princess and then into Amber Whale, so we might be better off going into something like a Cross Sheep, or working our way into something like a Appaloosa. So really is up to you how you'd want to take this one. Now, as soon as you put a Link Monster in this extra monster zone that you're not going to be using, you will lock out your Cross Sheep, because you won't be able to summon anything to a zone it points to. So we'll go straight into a 3 negate Appaloosa, just so we've got that protection. It's fine to have Rage in the graveyard, because that's exactly where you want it. Now all you need to do is start working your way back up into a Link 3, and that can get you your Princess back into rotation, but it's not the end of the world. All you're really going to do to add that to the board is you're going to add a form of interruption off of the back of that. Now you can activate the Accession, because we're not going to go into a Visago, we're not going to be using it twice. So you could use it now, and then trigger its discard effect to mandatorily trigger any of these others, which again will gain you more resource. So That's option number one. Option number two is you can sell it and use it during your opponent's turn as a form of interaction or interruption. And then option number three is you can just reveal Nessie and run the risk and reward of it all. So I'm actually going to reveal Nessie because there's nothing in this hand that I don't really want to discard apart from Nessie itself. But even if I do hit Nessie, it's not the end of the world. So we'll go 1 to 6. 2, hit the Kokimiru, summon down the Nessie. Now technically I've got a rank 7 on board, but that's not going to happen. We're going to draw a random card. Another Fenrir, absolutely fine because that's now just free discard or ditch fodder, or if my opponent does manage to break my entire board, I can still crack back, which is absolutely fine. So now what you'd probably want to do here is you're going to activate your Accession. I would be discarding the Greffa and the Silver, and in doing so this is going to get me direct access into my Greffa Dragon. Now unfortunately we haven't been able to conclude the hand rip, but I think that's actually quite a good thing to show you this video because it shows you what you can do if you don't hand rip your opponent. So as we summon down the Greffa, obviously we do have a mandatory trigger of Greffa, Chain Link 1, and then obviously Chain Link 2 of Silver. So Silver comes back to the board, and again we just complete the exact same resource loop. Is there a Rainbow Engrave? I swear there was. Nope, but it looks like we're going back for a Greffa. So Accession is now in the graveyard. Now what you can do is you can use the Accession's graveyard effect to add it back to the hand and discard your Silver, and again Silver will hit the board, and again you gain a bit more resource by bringing Silver back to the board for Greffa. Did I miss the last one? I think I did miss the last one, didn't I? Yeah, because I got Silver back to the hand for a Greffa. So there you go. I don't know why, but I put that Greffa back in my hand and it should have been on the board. There we go. So now we've got the capabilities of a rank 8 if we want it. We've now got our capabilities of a rank 3 if we want it. So it really is entirely up to you on what you'd want to add to this end board. Now, honestly, if like the Accession is not going to do us anything because we don't play a second fusion, but our opponent doesn't know that, so it can just be a random set. So you've got a couple of options here. You can very easily just overlay 2 and go or link 2 into an IP, which will set you up the ability to use that to go into an SP. You can go into Promethean Princess, which will give you more graveyard interruption because you would go 1, 2, 3 Princess, bring back Shavara, link Shavara and Princess into the Amber Whale, and what that's providing you is the Amber Whale form of destruction and the Princess form of destruction. So that's option number 2. Option number 3 is you can Fiend Lock yourself, which would go into Muckcracker. Muckcracker could then discard a card, which of course will be Silver, and then what you're doing is you're going to be able to bring back 1 from the graveyard, and then you're going to loot back more resource. So it really comes down to whether you want more resource. You can still go into Princess. Unfortunately, you will just be stuck under fire though, because you won't be able to get into anything else that can disrupt your opponent. So it's risk and reward. It's entirely up to you. Like I said, I've given you a couple of options there. Muckcracker gives you your hand resource. Princess gives you your graveyard interruptions or recursion, and then IP gives you access to your SP. So as we're ending the board there, at the basement we've got 4 more cards in our hand. We've got a Fenrir form of interruption, we've got the Greffa form of interruption. All of our fiends, which are these 3 here, are going to be buffed because of Gates of the Dark World. We've also got this as well. Now I'm saying don't leave the end board like this because you do need to create some space. The benefit of not going into an IP Masquerena is that you already have access to your Rage into SP. So just for probably the most advantageous option, you'd probably link these 2 together and go into Muckcracker. Muckcracker's effect will discard Silver. Silver will... Ooh, no it won't. Let's not do Muckcracker. I've just seen my error of my ways. We'll use all 3. We'll go into Princess. Princess effect to bring back Shavara. Shavara would link, put those 2 together, and that then gets you into the Amber Whale. So what this does is it allows you to maintain your hand advantage of 4. It's got the ability with the Princess to pop this. The only thing you need to be very, very careful of is you need to make sure you activate Chamber first, bringing back your Rage, and then using Rage to link off, plus leaving a spare link zone, otherwise you will kind of lock yourself down. So that's one route of plays. You've gone from a Rage linked with your opponent's monsters into an SP, banish another card. And then on top of that, if they do destroy anything on your board, you have the ability of Yama to banish and bring back any of your Fiend monsters. So again, you're in a very good position. So that's it for the first test hand. Now what we're going to do is going to reset and show you a different one. So obviously I think that was kind of a cool test hand to show you what the deck can do without needing to rely on the hand rip. Yes, of course, it probably played into a couple more hand traps than usual, but it's not a one-trick pony. anymore, and it's not like I'm trying to hand rip, and if I fail to hand rip, my board's not going to be that impressive, because that was a 3 negate Appaloosa, a Fenrir, plus the Grepher Fusion for additional protection, plus Rage into SP. Like, you had absolutely loads to play with, and then still had hand advantage, which is obviously good as well. So what we'll do is we'll do another shuffle up, we'll do another cut up, and then we'll show you what this deck can do going second. Now, going second's a little bit different, but it is a little bit more direct, because honestly, you don't need to go through half the link monsters that you do go through, because most of them are defensive. So the main aggression will come from the main deck, and that's probably where you'd want to rely on the Versago a little bit more than anything else, just because that provides you your aggressive output. Our test stand going second will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, not bad, not bad, not bad, not bad. So we'll start off by special summoning down Fenrir. It doesn't really make much of a difference if you're worried about draw or not, because you activate Genta, you get Drolled, you activate Fenrir, you get Drolled, so yeek. We'll activate Fenrir, hoping that more times than not the Drolls are in the side. Search out our third copy of Fenrir, but our opponent doesn't know that. We'll activate Genta. This will then allow us to search us out Gates, which gets that into rotation. We will activate the Gates. We will use Gates effect in order to banish the Genta and discard 1. So let's discard Rainbow just to get some resource management going. So we'll draw a random card. Card destruction, broken. Chaining 1, chaining 2. Genta will summon. Rainbow will search out Silver. Wherever it may be. I mean, I could search out a second Grepher to be a bit more aggressive, but Silver will give me board presence. Return the Genta to the hand for Rainbow, and then use Genta's effect again, because it's not a hard one to return to search out the Gates, but it is to revive itself. Activate the second Gates. And then use the exact same Gate effect again, banish and discard. Let's... doesn't make much of a difference, because card destruction is going to get you exactly what you need anyway. So we'll go Grepher just to kind of bait out, like if they've got a negation or something that I think they might stop the card destruction with, we'll go for that. Kokumiru, broken. Grepher mandatory to pop one of our opponent's monsters. Normal summon down Kokumiru, so now we're pretty much protected. There is nothing in his hand, apart from Shavara, that I kind of would be disappointed to lose, but we'll activate card destruction, we'll ditch 4. We'll draw 4 more. 1, broken. 2, broken. 3, broken. 4. We'll now be able to trigger Silver's effect to summon itself back. We will return Silver to the hand for Grepher. And now what we've got here is quite a lot to work with, which is really nice. So we're going to activate Dark Corridor. What this is going to allow us to do is add and ditch. So I'm going to add Ceruli. We're going to ditch the Ceruli. Ceruli is then going to summon to our opponent's board and then make us ditch a card. Now it depends on what our opponent has. If our opponent, because obviously Snow, if it's discarded via our opponent's card effect, you also get to target a monster in your opponent's graveyard and then special summon it, which at the moment I've got a full board, so that's not going to be much helpful for me. However, what I would have done prior is you would then be able to utilise your stuff like your Grepher and your Rainbow, and you would have got rid of these first. But what we'll do here is we're going to discard the Silver. This will then take away 2 cards from our opponent's hand, so we're getting rid of some of their hand advantage. Maybe they've been holding on to some hand traps on the Biru or something, or anything else like this. Obviously, you would resolve Silver first, because your opponent has to select 2, but then they can obviously change. So it'd be Silver in the graveyard, and we've conducted our 5th summon because we gave our opponent Ceruli, so they have to use Nibiru, and then Silver would resolve as its Chain Link 1. So it'd be Chain Link 1 Silver, Chain Link 2 would be opponent's Nibiru. So you'd have Nibiru, but you'd still get your Silver back, and then off of the back of that you can still loot back Rainbow and everything else. Anyway, so we've got all of this board right now. We now have the ability of talents to steal, to look at our opponent's hand or anything like that. So it depends on what they've got left. Ideally, what we want to be doing is we want to be getting the Ceruli back to the hand and then setting up a form of discard. They've already activated the monster effect, so you don't need to worry about it too much. So we'll link these 2 together. These 2 will then allow us to bounce the Silver back to the hand, and the way we're going to do that is by giving our opponent a Akashic, or putting a Akashic on the board, bouncing those both back. Now, obviously, I could have bounced back the Rainbow, but I want to leave the Silver on the board because I can go Silver, Rainbow, Rainbow, Grepher. So I've got everything I need there. The only thing that is now missing is for the ability to discard snow, which is absolutely fine. So again, it's entirely up to you on how you'd want to do this. You can go for talents to draw 2, you can look at your opponent's hand, or you can steal. Now if you steal, you're going to be working your way up into a link summon of something like the Appaloosa to protect, which you don't really need to do. So on this one, I'm just going to go talents and draw 2, just to kind of set up a form of discard. Broken, exactly what you need. So we'll activate the archives. Do I still have a Greffa in rotation? I do. Great. So we'll activate Rainbow to buff this Greffa by 800. We will trigger the archives to discard and draw. So we'll be discarding the Snow. Draw 2. Snow's effect will trigger. This will then give us access to the one card that we are missing, which is our Accession. We can now activate the Accession. I've got to resolve the Rainbow first, that would have been fun. Resolve the Rainbow prior to that, got to miss that bit. Second Greffa, that's what I was missing. I was like, oh, where's my Greffa? There it is. So then we'll activate the Accession, and what the Accession is going to allow us to do is it will allow us to discard the Greffa, and we'll discard the Silver. I could discard the Cerulean if my opponent's got more hand advantage, but honestly I don't need to. So we'll discard both of those. And the reason we're going to do that is this is, no we're not, we're going to discard the Sargo and Silver. And we're going to go into Colourless. So this will then allow us to trigger Silver to summon it back, as well as triggering Colourless. So if this card is fusion summoned, you get to destroy all cards your opponent controls. Its original attack and defense each become the number of materials used for its summon times 1,000. So obviously at the moment it's only 2k. If I wanted to make it use more, I could do, because I could give them a Cerulean. I could discard a Bigfoot, which will then allow me to pop one of my opponent's cards and everything else. So I can build up further from there if I needed to. But a 2k Colourless just to nuke the board is pretty much all you really needed. And then we're going to go back for more resource, so we'll loop Silver back to the hand. We can link these two together. You don't have to, but obviously if you wanted to, you could also use the Greffa or the Quacky to go into an Appaloosa if you feel you need that form of negation. If you don't need that form of negation, then don't do it. So we'll go into Princess. Princess effect will then be able to bring back the Shavara that we discarded a long time ago. You'll then link these two together. These two will then get into wherever it may be, Amberwell, so we're now no longer fire locked. My opponent shouldn't have anything left on the board, because like Colourless has nuked it completely, so all I'm really doing is getting some aggression going. At the moment, this is buffed by 400, so it's 3k base. We've got 23 off of Colourless. We've got Greffa buffed by 800 as well as 300, so it's 38. We've got 19 there, and we've got 24 there, and this is all before we've even attempted to activate something like a Bigfoot or a Chupacabra. And we still have the Accession in the graveyard, which allows us to control what we discard, so you could activate the Accession technically. This would then ditch the Cerulean. Cerulean would go to our opponent's board. Cerulean would then make us ditch Silver. This would then allow us to rip 2 from our opponent's hand. You'll also be able to trigger Princess if you wanted to, but you would be fire locked, which means I believe Silver won't summon back, but it really depends if you need it. Bring back your Silver. If you've held Fenrir long enough, you can go Fenrir, banish this face down. You've ripped 4 from your opponent's hand already, and then we still have the way to upgrade our Silver into Rainbow as well. And I don't think there's anything else we really need to do. Like if I needed to, I can link more off and go to Appaloosa, but this is well over game, well over. So that's how you can use Princess aggressively, defensively. You just need to be aware of the fire lock when you're fire locked and everything else in between. But it's a very, very interesting deck. I do feel that it has a little bit, like this version has a little bit more variety. It's not just, I'm going to hand loop you. It is, I can hand loop you, but I can also build up a very defensive graveyard. I can also build up a very aggressive end board. It gives you a lot more to kind of play around with. Anyway, I hope this has given you a couple of ideas on how this deck plays. Any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe and, of course, happy dueling.